Class 11th, Subject Physics, first chapter, Units and Measurements. From the chapter, let us see the dimensions and dimensional analysis. We know that a derived physical quantity can be expressed in terms of some combination of 7 basic or fundamental quantities. The basic quantities are represented by the symbols capital L for length, capital M for mass, capital T for time, K for temperature, I for current, C for luminous intensity, and mole, that is MOL, for amount of mass or amount of substance. These basic or fundamental physical quantities will be used in order to write the dimensions of given physical quantity in the form of these symbols of the fundamental or basic physical quantities. Now, what are the dimensions of a physical quantity? So, the dimensions of a physical quantity are the powers to which the fundamental units must be raised in order to obtain the unit of given physical quantity. The dimensions of a physical quantity are defined as the powers to which the fundamental units must be raised in order to obtain the unit of given physical quantity. Now, the representation of any derived physical quantity with appropriate powers of the symbols of fundamental quantities is called as dimensional formula or dimensional equation. The representation of any derived physical quantity with appropriate powers of symbols of the fundamental quantities is called as dimensional formula. The dimensions of the physical quantities are always written in square bracket with the symbols of the fundamental physical quantities, and there will be no commas written in between any of the two symbols. So no commas will be written, simply the symbols of the fundamental quantities with their proper indices will be written. How many times that given physical quantity is occurring in that formula, that will decide the power of that fundamental unit. Similarly, the dimensions which are occurring at the denominator can be shifted to the numerator of that equation by assigning negative sign to it. The constants which are unitless will be dimensionless. Now, let us consider some of the dimensions of some of the physical quantities. For example, if you consider velocity, we know that velocity is equal to displacement upon time. Displacement is nothing but the length, and therefore the dimensions of velocity v will be equal to dimensions of displacement, that is L. So in this formula, displacement is occurring once, and therefore there will be one in length only. That one may or may not be written, so it is one in length. Now time is at the denominator and it is also occurring once, therefore this is upon t only. So dimensions of displacement upon dimensions of time. So in order to simplify it, this one in time will be shifted to numerator, and therefore it will become -1, and therefore the dimensions of velocity will be equal to 1 in length, 0 in mass, -1 in time. As there is no mass, and therefore index of mass is equal to 0. Similarly, if we consider second example, that is density equal to mass per unit volume. So in order to obtain the dimensions of density, we will have to write dimensions of mass and dimensions of volume. Therefore, dimensions of mass, so mass is occurring once here, and therefore it is 1 in mass, divided by dimensions of volume. Now volume is nothing but again L cube, that is cube of side, and therefore it is 3 in length. Now for simplifying and writing the dimensions of density, we have to shift this 3 in length to numerator, therefore it will become -3, and therefore it is written as -3 in length, 1 in mass, 0 in time. Similarly, we can write the dimensions for different physical quantities. Now, what are the uses of dimensional analysis? If you consider this dimensional analysis, then what are the uses of this dimensional analysis? So the very first use is to check the correctness of a physical equation. Whether that given equation is physically correct or not, that can be checked with the help of this dimensional analysis. And therefore, in order to check that correctness of the given physical equation, we have to use the principle of homogeneity. That is, according to that principle, how many terms are involved in that equation, all these terms must be having the same dimensions. So if the dimensions of all the terms involved in that equation is the same, then we can say that the given physical equation is dimensionally correct. So for simplicity, here we will consider the first kinematical equation, that is phi equal to u plus at. Phi equal to u plus at. So phi is the final velocity, so that is the velocity. U is initial velocity, that is also velocity. A is acceleration and t is the time. So at, there will be product of a and t. And therefore, in order to obtain the dimensions, here 3 terms are there, phi, u and at. Now out of these, phi is towards left side and u plus at is on right side, and therefore here we will consider the dimensions of LHS and dimensions of RHS. And therefore, if these dimensions of LHS equal to dimensions of RHS, then that given physical equation will be dimensionally correct. And therefore, let us find the dimensions of LHS, that is phi. Dimensions of phi will be equal to, dimensions of phi will be equal to 1 in length, 0 in mass, minus 1 in time. So that will be equation number 1. This represents dimensions of LHS. Now let us find the dimensions of RHS. So that will be equal to dimensions of u plus dimensions of at. So that will be equal to dimensions of u are 1 in length, 0 in mass, minus 1 in time, same as that of velocity, plus dimensions of a into dimensions of t. These are written separate here. So dimensions of a are 1 in length, 0 in mass, minus 2 in time, and dimensions of time are 1 in time. So combining these, we will get, that will be equal to 1 in length, 0 in mass, minus 1 in time. 1 in length, 0 in mass, minus 1 in time, because this is 1 in length, 0 in mass, minus 1 in time. In this case also there will be 1 in length, 0 in mass, and minus 2 and plus 1 become minus 1. So it is minus 1 in time. That means the dimensions of phi, dimensions of u and dimensions of at are the same, so that principle of homogeneity will be valid there. And therefore, from first equation and second equation, we have dimensions of LHS equal to dimensions of RHS, and hence we can say that given equation phi equal to u plus at is dimensionally correct, because the dimensions of LHS equal to dimensions of RHS. Now similarly, the second kinematical equation, that is S equal to ut plus half at square. Similarly, third kinematical equation phi square equal to u square plus 2as can be checked with the help of this dimensional analysis. the correctness of the equation can be checked. Now let us go for second use, that is to establish the relation between related physical quantities. To establish the relation between related physical quantities. So in physics, various physical quantities are there which are related with each other. Then by considering this dimensional analysis, we can establish the relation between these related physical quantities. So in order to obtain that relation, here one physical quantity will depend upon two or more than two physical quantities. Then that relation we will have to consider in the form of proportionality, and then we will have to write the dimensions and proceed. And therefore, for example, here we will consider this T represents the period of oscillation of this simple pendulum. So T is period of oscillation of the simple pendulum. It depends upon the length of the pendulum L as well as acceleration due to gravity G. So the period of simple pendulum depends upon the length of the pendulum and the acceleration due to gravity. And therefore, in the form of proportionality, we can write T is proportional to L raised to A and G raised to B. Here we don't know what are the indices of L and G, and that's why A and B, these two indices are taken. At last we will have to find out the values of A and B, and then it will be put in the formula. Therefore, we can now write dimensions of T will be equal to constant of proportionality K. It will be dimensionless, then into dimensions of L raised to A into dimensions of G raised to B. So we know that the dimensions of T is equal to 0 in length, 0 in mass, 1 in time. So that will be equal to K into dimensions of L, that is 1 in length, raised to A into dimensions of G, that is 1 in length, 0 in mass, minus 2 in time, raised to B. So here we have written the dimensions of L and G. Now we have to simplify it. So by using the laws of indices, we can write K into L raised to A plus B. That means A plus B into L, 0 in mass and minus 2B in time. So after simplifying by using the laws of indices, we will get A plus B in length, 0 in mass and minus 2B into time. So now we have to compare the indices on both sides. So on LHS there is 0 in length, 0 in mass, 1 in time. On RHS we will get A plus B in length, 0 in mass and minus 2B in time. Therefore, first of all we will compare the indices of L. Here index of L is A plus B. Here index of L is equal to 0, and therefore we can write A plus B equal to 0, or shifting that B towards right, we can write A is equal to minus B. Similarly, comparing the indices of T, here it is minus 2B and here there will be 1, and therefore we can write minus 2B equal to 1, or B will be equal to minus half. So A is equal to minus B, A is equal to minus B and B equal to minus half, that we have got. But we know that A plus B equal to 0, and therefore A will be equal to minus B, that will be equal to minus of minus half. This is the value of B, minus half. So minus of minus half, that will be equal to plus half, and therefore here A is equal to plus half and B is equal to minus half. And hence, putting these values in that relation, we can write T equal to K into L raised to half into G raised to minus half. g raised to minus half. So here there is square root of L as well as square root of g, and therefore we can write t equal to k into under root L upon g. L will be at the numerator, g will be at the denominator, because L is having its index half and g is having its index minus half, and therefore we will get that relation t equal to square root of L by g. Or if you consider that proportionality constant k, it will be experimentally determined, and it is found that in case of the simple pendulum, the value of that k proportionality constant k comes out to be 2 pi, and therefore we will get t is equal to 2 pi square root of L by g, which is the relation for period of simple pendulum, and therefore hence we will get the relation between period, length of the pendulum and acceleration due to gravity as t equal to 2 pi square root of L by g. Then go for third application, third use, that is to find the conversion factor between the units of same physical quantity in two different systems of units. So if we are given any physical quantity, then it will be having its units in SI as well as CGS, that is MKS unit as well as CGS unit. Then how it will be then related with each other by any conversion factor. That conversion factor can be determined with the help of this dimensional analysis. For example, 1 meter equal to 100 centimeter, that means 1 meter equal to 10 raised to 2 centimeter. Now that 10 raised to 2 factor is nothing but the conversion factor between meter and centimeter. So that factor we can determine here. So for that purpose, let us consider the units of energy or work. Here we will consider energy or work. The SI unit of energy is joule and CGS unit is erg. So 1 joule will be equal to x erg, that is SI unit of energy will be equal to x times CGS unit of energy. So 1 joule is equal to x erg, and therefore from this relation we can write the dimensions of work or energy, and these dimensions are in general 2 in length, 1 in mass and minus 2 in time. 2 in length, 1 in mass and minus 2 in time are the dimensions of energy. Now here we have written prefixes 1 1, and here on the RHS 2 2, that means for SI units we have written 1 and for CGS unit we have written 2, and therefore we can write for 1 joule we can write 2 in L1, 1 in M1 minus 2 in T1 is equal to x into 2 in L2, 1 in M2 minus 2 in T2. Now this x can be calculated dividing this term by this, and therefore we can write x equal to 2 in L1, 1 in M1 minus 2 in T1 divided by 2 in L2, 1 in M2 minus 2 in T2. That will be written separately as L1 by L2 square into M1 by M2 raised to 1 into T1 by T2 raised to minus 2. But we know that here if you consider SI and CGS units, then for length, mass and time, SI units are meter, kilogram and second, while CGS units are centimeter, gram, second respectively, and therefore we can put the values here. Therefore x will be written as meter upon centimeter square, kilogram upon gram raised to 1, second upon second raised to minus 2. Now this factor will be 1 raised to minus 2 because second is there. Now we know that 1 meter equal to 100 centimeter and 1 kilogram equal to 1000 gram, and therefore we can write 100 centimeter upon centimeter square into 1000 gram upon gram raised to 1 into 1 raised to minus 2. Now this will be neglected, 1 raised to minus 2, and therefore this will be further written as x equal to 10 raised to 2. That is 100 will be written as 10 raised to 2. 10 raised to 2 into 1000 will be written as 10 raised to 3. So that x will be equal to 10 raised to 2 square into 10 raised to 3 raised to 1. That will be equal to 10 raised to 4 into 10 raised to 3. By laws of indices, the power of 10 will be 7. That is 4 plus 3. That will be equal to 7. So that is the value of x. And therefore we can write 1 joule equal to 10 raised to 7 erg. The value of this x is now kept in this relation, that is 1 joule equal to 10 raised to 7 erg. Similarly, we can find the conversion factor between the units of the physical quantity such as force by considering its MKS and CGS units as Newton and Dyne. Okay, then we'll go for next point, that is limitations of this dimensional analysis. If you consider this dimensional analysis, then there will be some limitations of this dimensional analysis. Now what are these limitations? So the first limitation is the value of dimensionless constant cannot be obtained. So if any constant is there and which is dimensionless, then the value of that dimensionless constant cannot be obtained with the help of this dimensional analysis. Similarly, second, the dimensional analysis cannot be used to derive the relations involving trigonometric, exponential and logarithmic functions. If the physical quantities are involving trigonometric, exponential as well as logarithmic functions, then we can't write the dimensions of these physical quantities because it will be unitless again. Then third is, this method is not useful if constant of proportionality is not dimensionless quantity. In the second use as well as in the third use. So in the second use we have considered that constant of proportionality k, but it was dimensionless, and therefore the limitation is the method is not useful if constant of proportionality is not dimensionless quantity. So dimensionless quantity must be there, and therefore these are some of the limitations of dimensional analysis. Again it will be revised. The value of dimensionless constant cannot be obtained. The dimensional analysis cannot be used to derive relations involving trigonometric, exponential and logarithmic functions. Similarly, this method is not useful if constant of proportionality is not a dimensionless quantity.